You instantly notice when someone's energy changes, even if they're smiling, even if they say, I'm fine. You still feel it. Something feels off. You notice when a text suddenly feels colder, when someone's laugh sounds forced, or when someone pretends to like you while emotionally pulling away. And the strange part is, most people have no idea you notice anything. So you stay quiet. You act like nothing happened. Because somewhere in life you learned something early. When you see people too clearly, it becomes hard to feel normal around them. And maybe that's why the most observant people are often the quietest. Psychology says some people become highly sensitive to emotional patterns, not by choice, but because of experience. Over time, they slowly learn a difficult truth. Most people don't actually want honesty. They want comfort. So instead of reacting emotionally, you begin observing silently. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trusting words too easily. Because once you realize how often people hide their real feelings, you can't unsee it anymore. Most people only hear words, but you notice contradictions. Someone says, I'm fine, but their voice sounds exhausted. Someone acts kind in public, but distant in private. Someone laughs with everyone, but avoids one specific person completely. And slowly, your brain starts connecting patterns automatically. Who stays consistent? Who changes energy depending on the room? Who only shows interest when it benefits them? That's why betrayal rarely feels sudden to you. You usually felt it coming long before it happened, even if you ignored the signs. But living this way becomes exhausting because your mind never fully stops scanning people. Even during normal conversations, even around friends, you replay interactions in your head for hours. A small tone shift, a cold reply, an unusual silence. Not because you're overthinking, but because your mind is trying to understand what changed. Nobody becomes quiet without a reason. Most quiet people were once extremely open. They trusted easily. They talked freely. But life slowly teaches them something painful. Not everyone handles your truth well, and not everyone deserves your vulnerability. So little by little, you start speaking less, revealing less, and observing more. Not because you have nothing to say, but because silence begins to feel safer than regret. And eventually, you realize something heavy. Understanding people deeply doesn't always mean being understood yourself. There's a hidden cost to noticing everything. Social life starts feeling different, less genuine, more performative. You begin noticing fake conversations, one-sided friendships, and people changing personalities depending on who they're around. So eventually, you stop craving attention and start craving something real. Honesty, consistency, depth. But the more deeply you understand others, the less understood you begin to feel. And maybe that's why many observant people become distant. Not because they hate people, but because awareness itself becomes emotionally heavy. People often mistake silence for weakness, but many times it's actually control. Because reacting to everything is easy. But staying calm when you notice everything around you takes discipline. Not every situation deserves your reaction, and not every person deserves your explanation. Observant people eventually learn something important. Patterns repeat, behavior repeats, and sooner or later, people reveal who they truly are. So instead of reacting immediately, you observe quietly and allow time to expose the truth naturally. You can usually tell when someone is fake, but you don't expose it immediately. You wait, you watch, Because truth is revealed through consistency, not words, but behavior. And once you truly understand someone, your perception rarely changes. That's why observant people are difficult to manipulate. Because silence doesn't mean you don't notice things. It usually means you notice far too much. So if you notice everything but say very little, there's probably a reason for that. Maybe experience changed you. Maybe pain made you observant. Or maybe you simply realize that peace becomes difficult when you see too much. And yes, sometimes it feels lonely because you notice what others ignore. You feel things most people never even recognize. But the truth is, the more deeply you understand people, the less understood you often feel yourself. And maybe that's why you stay quiet. And if this video felt personal, maybe your mind notices more than you think. And if you want more psychology videos like this, subscribe. Because the next video might explain something you felt your entire life, but never had the words to describe.